Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Nielsen Networking video. In the video ahead, I will be introducing you to my good friend, Mr. Ripper, who we will refer to as John or JTR for the rest of this video. Now, John is a very unique friend. He likes to break, or more specifically, crack things. And what does he like to crack? Well, he likes to crack passwords, but only in his personal lab or for someone else, but only when he has their permission, because hacking without permission is illegal, and John is nothing if not a law-abiding citizen. So, how does John hack passwords when he's, say, performing a penetration test or some other ethical hacking activity he was hired by a company to perform? Well, John is actually a bit antisocial. So unlike Hydra, who likes to be online in the spotlight, John actually likes to do all things offline. And when he's performing these activities, he uses pretty much three modes. Those modes are going to be known as single mode, wordlist mode, and incremental mode. And each of these modes uses a different attack method with a little bit of overlap. Some of the methods you've probably heard of, such as brute force, dictionary, but more on the details in the video ahead. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole quite yet. Give me a little bit of time. So again, before we get into that, I wanted to mention one thing, that those of you on Kali Linux, you already have John preloaded. You actually just go to password attacks, hit John right here, and you got it. Or honestly, you just type John. But those of you not on Kali Linux, shame on you, you can actually just go ahead and, there it is, head on over to this website here, openwall.com/John, and click on the link for your OS and download it. Now, depending on your distribution of Linux, you may have to compile it. They may have an RPM. I'm not exactly sure because I'm cool and I have Kali Linux. So it's already there for me. So just wanted to give you that little bit of FYI on that. So with that out of the way, why don't we get, not to sound too cheesy here, why don't we get cracking and start off with going over what is single crack mode. All right, single crack mode. Single crack mode is actually the recommended mode that you start with. And it's not just me saying it. It's actually, if you go out here to their website, under single crack mode right here, look at this is the mode you should start cracking with. And what it does is it uses login names, geckos, full name, last names field, home directory, things like that. What this means in plain English is when you enter like a new username in Windows, let's say, right? You know how it asks you for username, first name, last name, address, maybe telephone number, email address. It takes all that information available to it from that either password file or SAM database file, and you can have a look at some of this. I don't have a great example, but if you do like a cat on the password file, you can see that the dude is in here. So this is the username, but let's imagine instead of an X here, we had actually entered the dude's personal information, like first name, last name, telephone, and all that stuff I mentioned. John will then take that information and go, okay, well, we know the dude is his username, so let's try the dude plus his home address, or the home address plus this, or maybe we just use the dude and add is number 1 because the dude's full of himself. It uses available information from the file you're giving it to try to crack, to try to figure out the passwords. Because believe it or not, a lot of people, like Fred, he might use his first name, last name, and a number 1, or a pound, or something ridiculous like that. And that still happens quite a lot because there's not a lot of password restrictions that have been enforced. You'd think there would be because you go to these public websites and they enforce it all there, but in the enterprise, there's really not as much as you would think there would be. So that said, whoops, actually let's stay here because this is we're gonna get to it. We're gonna start with our first example of using single crack mode. All right, and for the first example of using single crack mode, I thought it would be cool to actually show you how to create your own test file. That way you don't have to worry about going out and finding a Windows SAM database or creating your own Linux password file to use. You can just use the script that I'm gonna show you right now. So that said, let's go ahead and take a look at this script. And real quick, for those of you that aren't savvy scripters or programmers, when we have a pound sign up here, this is a comment. This means this is not going to be executed when we run the code. Underneath it will be executed. So we're actually just going to run a simple, and you could even do this from the command line without having a script. I think this is more efficient, and you can actually cut and paste, so you could multiply this by 5, 10, and on if you wanted more usernames. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with just 5. So this should be what we end up with at the end of all the code. We should end up with this username with this, but hashed. So how does it do it? It's going to echo in the username into this text file. And then on the second line of code, it's going to echo in the password, but it's going to hash it. And then it's going to add it too. And it's going to rinse and repeat 5 times. So when we're done, we should get a file with 5 usernames with 5 hashes. Let's see what happens. And you're going to need to set permissions on this. You're going to need at least execute. You don't really need read or write. Well, you do if you're going to modify it. You could just set these permissions. And if you're not exactly sure on how to set permissions, go ahead and check out my, I think it was 2 videos. I just put out a video on the top 10 must know for ethical hacking or something like that. Check it out. You'll see what I mean. Just go to my channel. So anyways, let's see what happens when we execute this. We're going to execute it, and now we're going to have a cars.txt. This should contain what we want, which is going to be usernames and passwords, but hashed. And here we go. So here's everything we need to use single crack mode. So you can do that at home, and again, you can modify that all you want and make it your own. So that said, let's go ahead and start cracking. All right, and to get going, we need to start by entering the program name. So we're going to enter John, and then we're going to tell it the mode. So we're going to do -- single for the single mode. And then this is going to be an optional parameter I'm going to enter, but we know the format because we actually hashed the passwords, right? So we know we did raw SHA-256. And why is it raw? It's raw because we didn't salt it. We didn't salt it and we didn't do any additional encoding. So that's why we're going to throw raw in there. Technically, you don't even need to enter the format one here, the format parameter. If you don't know it, John will try to figure it out on its own, but it's much more efficient if you do know it. And I will show you how you can identify 99% of all hashes later on in the video. But if you don't know it, again, you can run it without it. But if you do know it, put it in, it's much quicker, which you'll see when we go ahead and run the rest of the command here. So we're going to tell it that, and then we need to tell it the name of the file we want to crack. So again, program name, mode, format if you know it, and then the file name. There's many more. You can actually set it to like maximum characters, speed, how many threads you want to use, things like that. But this, for what your purposes, especially testing in the lab, this is going to be good enough, and it will be a good enough example to get the returns we need here. So we're going to go ahead and hit enter. And just like that quick, it went ahead, it loaded the 5 hashes. And it will actually, what's interesting about this, it actually saves these passwords and hashes in a pot file. It's called like a .john.pot or something like that in your directory. I'll show you that in a minute. And then next time, if it's running it against another password file, it will immediately know those passwords. So it just saves time. It's more efficient. So if you were doing this against like 50 different password files, it would get more efficient the more passwords it finds out, because it would already know the hash. So it would know the hash for Toyota is this hash, and it would instantaneously, it wouldn't even really need to do anything. It would just match it up and boom, you get the results. So that probably wasn't the most elegant way to say that, but that's what it does. So that's great. This kind of gives you the basics of what you can do in single crack mode. There's not a lot of bells and whistles here. So we're going to move on to wordless mode, which is actually more powerful, but a little slower, but it is a lot more powerful. And that's probably the mode you're going to use the most. You're going to start with this mode to get the low-hanging fruit, if you will, but then you're going to move on to wordless if you can't get results from single crack mode. So let's go ahead and clean this up and move on. All right, for wordless mode, we are going to need a word list. And if you're on Kali Linux, you have this easy. You're awesome if you're in Kali. So all you need to do is type in word list, and bam, you get a whole entire listing of word lists. And this is actually more than it looks like right here at a glance, because if you were to do an ls and do a Metasploit here, you can see there's about, 75 more word lists within just the Metasploit directory. So you can see there's a ton of them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually copy one locally. So let me see what we got in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy RockU to the directory that my lab folder was. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a pwd here. I'm going to exit this, because when you type in wordless, it actually takes you to a different shell. So I'm going to exit out of that shell. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do cp, and you got to take the directory or the path. You're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to paste it. And then I'm going to do rocku.txt, and I'm just going to do a period, which means the current directory I'm in. Hit enter. And now I don't have to enter the full path. So when I go to use John, I don't have to say wordless equals USR, share wordless rocku. I can just type in wordless equal, and I'll show you actually. Enough of just chit chat in here. And then I do need to do the make password because we have nothing to run it against right here. So we're going to do make password. We're going to verify. We're going to verify cars is here. It is. So we're good to run it. So we're going to start off with John. Go figure. And then we're going to do -- word list. And then we're going to do equals. And again, we're going to do, actually, we don't need the dash. We're just going to do rocku.txt. Okay, and that's going to be our list we're using. Now we need to tell it the format if we know it. We do know it because, again, we just hashed it ourselves. So we're going to do format equals, same thing we did before, actually it's raw SHA-256. And then we need to tell it the name of the file. So we're doing .txt. We're going to go ahead and run it and see what we get. And again, you see, okay, so this is what's interesting. It actually only found 4. Well, single crack mode found all 5 of them. So this actually skipped one that the other one didn't. So it ran about equally as quick, but it did not find all of it. And that just means in that password list, this is the biggest downside to a password list, it wasn't in there. All the other passwords were actually in there, but I guess Kia's not a popular enough car, unfortunately. Sorry if you drive a Kia. It's not in there. So that's how you would do it for that. But let me actually show you now a way we can get a different file and try it against that. And we're going to do that using the Unshadow command. So let me clear this up. All right, and the Unshadow command is part of John, so it comes preloaded with Kali because Kali comes preloaded with John. But if you were to go out and download this on a different Linux distro and you went straight to the source and compiled the code and everything, I don't know if Unshadow is actually part of the suite of John apps or not, or if it's an extra thing Kali added in to make it awesome. I don't know. So anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to unshadow, and we're going to unshadow our password file, and we're going to unshadow our shadow file. We're going to unshadow our shadow file. And what it does is it pretty much combines the two, the username and password with the hashes. So we're going to do that, and we're going to redirect it to a file named, I don't know, how about pass shadow? That's combined. So now if we do cat pass shadow, that's a lot of S's. Pass shadow, you can see that we have combined usernames with hashes. Cool there, right? So how do we then go ahead and run our word list against it? Well, you do exactly what you just did. And instead of pointing it to cars.txt, we're going to point it to shadow. So we're going to go John -- and we're going to do word list equals rocku.txt. And then we're going to go ahead and we'll try the same format. I don't think it's the same, but we're going to go ahead and try it anyway. So we're going to go format equals SHA it's raw, right? Raw SHA-256 no, it's not .txt. And then it's going to be pass shadow, right? Did I do that right? We got John, which is the program. We got the word list referencing Rocky, which is the correct word list. Format raw SHA-256. We should be good to go. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. No set. Okay. I even double checked this and I still failed. Okay. How about this? Okay. So right here it ran, but it failed. So that means, and I wish this was a little more descriptive, but chances are it did not like that we said it was raw SHA-256. So what we need to do is identify what hash it's actually using. And you can do this, and let me split my screen here so we can actually see. We need to go to root here. Give me a second here. And then we need to go bash because that's an ugly shell. And we're going to need to go to the lab, John, and lab 2. We're going to go in here. We're going to clean this up a little bit. And we're going to go into docs. Because I thought ahead, and I actually thought of you all, and I gave you a way to identify the hashes. So what we're going to do is we're going to cat identify passwords. And here's what you're going to look for. So over here, what we're going to do, we're going to clean this up, and we're going to cat pass shadow. Now what you do is you come down here and you look. And you look for the first part of the hash. And we're looking right here, and you can see all of them are starting with, well, all the ones that are there. There we go. I guess that was just on 2 lines. They all start with a $, $, $. So $, $, $y $ equals yes crypt or crypt. So we can tell that this is going to be encrypt. So what we need to do is we need to, let's just make this big again. We'll keep it there in case we have to go back if we're wrong. So let's make this full size here. Go ahead and clean this up. And we're going to do the same command we did, but the version where I spelled it correctly. But we're going to change this to crypt. And we're going to try to run it again. So again, we got John, word list, format crypt, because that's what it said it was. And we're going to go ahead and run it and see if we get different results. You can already see it's taking longer. That's a good sign. So that means we believe, and there we go. We're getting results. That is a good sign. Now see, you'll want to remember this. And I can put that text file, if you will, in the description, but it's probably just as easy just to pause it and write it down. I'll do both. I'll try to do both. If I don't be mad. We'll give this a minute to run here, and then we'll move on to something else here. Probably incremental mode. Let's just give this a chance to see if it finds any other passwords here. Again, this is a little slower than that single mode, but it's really going through and looking for all the different words in that list. And we'll just give it a little bit longer here. And maybe let's just, there, I found one. The weed, dude, the weed, or weed for the dude. Oh, and Romeo and Juliet, I guess that makes sense. All right, so we're still going here. I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video. I'll come back when it finishes. I just don't want to waste too much time staring at a screen. All right, and it is still going here. I gave it a good minute here. What's interesting is you hit enter, it actually gives you an update on how far it is, and it even tells you the password it's on. So Cutie, me, and what is that, Mitchell? But it looks like it might be here for a while. It's saying 9/14, which is 4 days from now. So again, this might not be perfect an estimate, but again, this is going to run and run and run until it finds it. So that, unfortunately, is what dictionary mode does. It can take quite a while, or wordless mode, I should say. It's doing a dictionary tag, so it's going to go through every single word in that list, and there are a lot of them. And it's going to try different combinations, adding ones and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and kill this because I don't want to be here all day, and I know you don't want to. This video is already, what, 15 minutes long or something? So you get the point. That's how you would do it. That's how you'd use Unshadow. That's how you would use word lists. And again, you can use any word list you want. So that's that. And with that said, we are going to move on to incremental mode, which is the final mode that John supports. All right, incremental mode. The most powerful, we said the most powerful for last. But I would not say it's the best mode to use. I would go the path we took. I would do single mode, wordless mode, and if you have to, you can try incremental mode. Just be warned, incremental mode takes a lot of CPU, like a lot, and almost to the point where you'd want to use a dedicated machine for it. But it also takes a long time because it tries every possible combination. And the amount of time will also depend on the parameters you set, because you can limit it to say only look up to 8 characters. Right? Don't go 64 characters or 128 characters, right? Like some people are setting those crazy passwords. If you the bigger the scope you give it, the longer it will take, because it's going to try uppercase, it's going to try special characters, it's going to try numbers, it's going to try every possible combination of every single thing you can think, and it will literally run forever. I believe on their website they even say something similar to that, like it will run forever if you give it open parameters. We're going to use it on a very small file, where it will probably continue to run, which we'll probably have to kill it, but it will hopefully find what we need, because we're using small, 5 or 6 character passwords. But if we were using harder passwords, it would take even longer. So just FYI, everything you see on YouTube and videos always isn't, they don't always give you that background that, oh, they showed you, look how quickly it worked. No, that's not really how it works in the real world. It depends on the length of the password, how long it's going to take to crack them. So that said, we do have some practice here we can do just so we can get our hands on incremental mode. And to do it, it's pretty straightforward. We're going to go with John. We're going to go with incremental for the mode. And we're going to go with the format because we're going to use cars.txt. So we know it's going to be, we should all know this by now. We're going to do raw SHA-256. And let's just make sure we got incremental, John, and we're going to use cars, not carts, cars.txt, right? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to double check our work. We're good. And we're going to go ahead and run it. We're going to start here. And well, surprisingly, that came back pretty quick. But again, these are very short passwords. As we get, and this is probably why it slowed down a little bit here, they're longer. It's going to take a little while longer. It is warning you that you could add the fork 16 parameter. And what that's going to do is that would actually, depending on your CPU, it will use multiple cores or multiple threads, I should say, which we could actually do. Let's kill this real quick. And let's go ahead and add that and see if we get any quicker results, shall we? What is it? It's not threads, it's fork. If I could type fork equals, well, let's just do 16 sounds good. I was going to say 32, but that might kill my computer. So what we'll do is incremental. I think it should work at the end. We'll go ahead and hit enter and we'll see if it's any quicker. Well, that seemed a little bit quicker, but let's see if it finds the rest. I'll go ahead and pause it for a second. Well, I'll let it run for about 10 seconds and I'll pause it and then I'll come back as it finds the other ones. Hopefully it finds the other ones. We'll just see. Again, you could see, okay, well, it found Kios, which I don't believe single crack mode found, but if you notice single crack mode, oh, there it goes. It does seem like the fork option helped. It does seem like single mode found these a lot quicker because it was almost instantaneous if you remember when we ran it. And then Wordlist found, pretty quick the other ones. But okay, so it's found all 5. But you'll notice it's still running. And I think it's still running because now it has all those threads open. So I'm just going to go ahead and kill it by doing a Control-C here. Because otherwise I think it would keep going. Yeah, so it's waiting for them to terminate. So it would probably keep going for a while. And you can see over here, you can see what it's doing. It's going through every single one. But we already got our results, so we didn't need it to continue. So that is incremental mode. And again, just be warned, incremental mode is very powerful, but it's very, I should have shown you the CPU on the little VM I'm running here, but you get the point. Just heed my warning. It is CPU intensive, and I wouldn't suggest doing it on something you plan on going and playing some video games on or something. I guess that's mostly GPU, but you get the point. All right, so let's move on. We're gonna finish up the video with some simple, which you've probably already seen because it's kind of like the low-hanging fruit, but I'll just show you it because it is included how to do some zip files, and then we'll probably close out the video. All right, so let's move on to that. All right, hacking or cracking a zip file. And you may have already seen this, like I said, because there's probably a million videos on the internet with everyone and their mom claiming to be a hacker, showing you how to hack a zip file. I'm not gonna be that guy. I'm gonna tell you honestly, you may never have a need to do this, but if you do, I just want to show you the utility that John comes with that can actually do it because it is a pretty cool utility. But again, I can't tell you that on an enterprise level that during a pen test, you're going to be doing this. Probably not. But it is a cool tool, so we might as well look at it, right? Because you've probably seen the video anyway, and I want to do a better video. So I have started with a directory with a few zip files on them. They're all password protected, but you probably don't believe me. So I'm going to do something I don't like to do, and I'm going to actually go out into the GUI. And I am going to show you that these are actually password protected. Go in here, try to open them, and not getting in, right? And I'll do one more, just so you know I'm not full of baloney. Go here, and of course my computer freezes. Here's what a normal person would do. They would double click it again, and they'd get a result. So I guess maybe the normal people have something. Anyway, I was about to talk smack on them, but apparently it works when you double click. I was going to say they should be patient and wait for it to respond, but whatever. That's why I don't go to the GUI, see? I don't have this problem at the command line. So anyways, back at the command line where we're comfortable. I just want you to know I went out of my comfort zone for you, so I hope you don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. That would help me out tremendously. Now back to the actual situation here. We are going to use the command that comes with John, known as zip to John. And we're going to use it to get the hash of these files. We'll just do 2 of them because we don't have all day. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it to, we'll go with ls.etz.zip. That looks good to me. And we're going to redirect this into a file because we're going to need the file to run our John against. So we're going to redirect this, and we'll just make this ls.etc.hash. Sounds good to me. How about you? Cool. All right, so we have that one done. Let's go ahead and do var. We can do, we'll do var. I was going to do USR, but var is cool. We'll go with var, ls, var, zip, redirected. Okay, I think we're good, right? All right, cool. So now we should have 2 files. So if we do cat.hash, we can see we got some hashes. Cool, we're styling. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to run John. We're going to go crazy here. We're going to run John without any parameters. We're just going to run John and the file. And what this will actually do is it will start with Wordlist Mode, then it will start with Wordlist Mode, and then it will go to, oh no, it starts with Single Mode, Wordlist Mode, then Incremental Mode. See, my brain's fried. I need to get over it with this video. It's gone too long. It's going to try all three of them, I guess I could have just said. So we're going to do that, and we're just going to put in ls.var.hash, and we're going to let it run. We're going to hit enter, and we're going to let it do its thing here. And boom, it went through. And look at that, it found the password. So now if we go back out to the dreaded GUI, and we go out here, and we go to this guy, right? And we go here, and we put in taco, because it's lunchtime, we can open it. Wow, look, we're hackers. All right, so we totally just got in there, and that worked great, right? So let's go back here. And now we can go over here and we can actually try the same thing, but we can use a word list to see. So let's try John, and we're gonna go word list. And unfortunately, I did not copy rock you here. So we're gonna go to, I'm trying to remember is it word lists? I think so. We'll find out in a minute, won't we? rockyou.text. And then we'll do it against this guy. So let's find out if that works. So we hit enter, and we're getting a lot of things on here. As you can see, it's going through. I'm not sure why it's showing like verbose up here. What did we do here? We just went wordless. Oh, duh. Okay, we did that wrong. We didn't put our equal sign. Why didn't you tell me? We need to put equals. Let's try that again there. Oh my God, and look how quick that was. We are such hackers. We hacked the password that was 12345. Aren't we great? Okay, so that is how the utility works. The reason I'm being a little sarcastic is because honestly, all those videos you see of people doing this out on the internet and they want to sell it as some great accomplishment. In reality, that's going to be a lot harder password, and that's not going to show up that quick. So I just want to give you full disclosure. Again, this probably isn't going to get used much in the enterprise, but that's how the utility works. Nevertheless, it is a cool utility to be able to take the hash and then run it against the word listen or just John native mode. So that, my friends, is pretty much how you can do the three modes, a zip file. And you know what? Since I did set it up, why don't I just show you how it looks against a Windows SAM database? Since I have it, let's just go nuts and do it. We'll go to lab 4, and I'll show you how it looks against that, or how it works against that. All right, and how this is going to work is going to be almost identical to how it worked when we cracked a Linux password file, because it's literally going to be using a word list. The only difference is we're going to change the format. Before we do that, let's look real quick at the actual file. This is going to be a file that was generated using AI, because I didn't have a SAM database sitting around. And I said, hey, can you generate me a SAM database, which is, I think stands for Security Account Manager database. And I asked it to create one, and I said, I want to use it to test against John the Ripper. And it actually created it, and it didn't tell me that that shouldn't be done or whatever, which, because sometimes they throw up those warnings. It didn't. So, hey, I mean, maybe you could use this to even create like a Linux password file out there, huh? I don't know. But anyways, back to the matter at hand. We're going to use this to try to crack as a test. So we're going to go John, and we're going to do dash dash, and we're going to do format. And we're going to do NT, because again, this is Windows. So we're going to do that, and we're going to go word list, and we're going to do equals USR share. Okay, why is this not working? Oh, because I don't have a slash. My bad. Slash share slash word list and rockyou.text. And what was it? Win hash. All right, let's see what we got here. We got John, we got the format right, we got the word list equals. I think we are good to go. Cross your fingers, this does not blow anything up. And we're good. Look, it ran. Unfortunately, I only found one password, but one's better than none, right? Not really the spectacular finish for the video I would like, but you know what? We'll take it. And with that, you can kind of see that's how you would do it. You could actually change the format to LM or whatever a more modern version of Windows is, because that's probably what I think I actually used Claude. Whatever AI I used generated, it might be a more recent format, and that's probably why I'm not getting all the passwords. Oh, or maybe they're just not in the word list, but it seemed like it went really quick. So anyways, enough of that chitter chat, and I think we are done with this video. So if you enjoyed it, I would really appreciate, a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see future content, share this with your friends, share it with your grandma, share it with anyone you want, I don't care. And other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day or night or whatever it is, and take care of yourself. Talk to you later.